All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. We're here to talk about the 20th MCU movie. It is Ant-Man and the Wasp, so we're already almost done. We've got Captain Marvel left for our Road to Avengers Endgame MCU reviews, and it's not really, full spoilers, we haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp. A year ago, when this came out after Infinity War, I feel like it was kind of a good thing to have this this smaller scale movie with the character, with a character we like, and it wasn't so serious until the very, 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 very end, like during the credits. But a year later, watching this after Infinity War, like immediately after Infinity War, after I did the review for it, I was barely paying attention, and the more I think about it, like it's a filler. It's there to fill a hole that really wasn't there because Deadpool 2 came out, you know what I mean? So we didn't have to wait for another good Marvel property, even though, Deadpool's Fox at the time, but still we got this really great Deadpool movie and then just this kind of all right Ant-Man movie. And I'd been waiting for Ant-Man and the Wasp for a long time, man. I really, really loved Ant-Man 1. And I thought that what they were going to do in here was I hadn't even seen the trailer. And then the trailer came out and I was like, well, okay. I mean, I was already kind of feeling like this doesn't seem to be, I don't know, very interesting. And the villain, Ghost. Because I don't even really count Walton Goggins as guys. I think they're just shenanigans villains. The real villain in this, you're supposed to understand her motivations. You get it that if somebody was stuck this way, you do a lot to fix yourself. It's your life. But, she's just so willing to kill everybody else. And that's it. That's really it. It's just her plan is to save her own life. And while I like small stakes sometimes, it's just kind of couldn't this have been resolved some other way? I feel like if the only reason there was conflict is because Michelle Pfeiffer's character was in the quantum realm. Okay, they just had all these convenient ways to make the villain be more villainous because the person that you need there, why didn't they just say, hey, look, we're going to get my wife. She's going to come out of there and we're all going to help you. But so making Michelle Pfeiffer the thing that you need is why we have a movie. Because really all Scott was doing was his life was fine without the events of this movie. He was a couple of days away from getting off of the FBI's, list or whatever, or the probation that he had. And so all this is really the world around him messing with his life, and messing with the fact that he wants to be around his family and stuff. And he's ready to give up being Ant-Man kind of, but it's everybody else that's pulling him in. I feel like we're watching I don't know, you ever watch Bob's Burgers and it's Bob's life would be fine without all the people around him messing up his life. Every episode, it's just Bob has a simple thing he wants to do. He just wants to make some hamburgers. But everybody else surrounding him is always just bombarding him with shit that he didn't ask for. That's what I feel like Scott Lang is like in this movie. Where he's just I just want to finish my 2 days, hang out with my daughter. Oh, I got to deal with all this shrinking and getting big nonsense again. Great. And even though, because he went to Germany, he caused a lot of problems for Hope and Hank. That they shouldn't really. He was trying to do the right thing. Hank Pym in the comics and even here a little bit is kind of he's a prick. He's a prick. He's a really smart guy and he knows it. And even though Michael Douglas's Hank Pym is a very much more toned down Hank Pym than you've ever seen. If you read him in the comics, he is not a guy you want to be around, all right? He's not like Michael Douglas charming. He is the typical He'd be like the asshole character in the 80s who you hope loses. You know what I mean? Like the guy that's like vying for position with another person and that, you know, but he's got to be the asshole about it. That's Hank Pym. And so it felt like it was hard to just get invested in anything that was going on because it just, like Michael Pena's shtick, it worked in the first movie. It's getting old here. They don't give these guys anything new to do. You know, they have this whole thing with the Baba Yaga and then Truth Serum and all this stuff that's supposed to be funny, but really, it's not landing. You could definitely sense that because the first Ant-Man movie had Edgar Wright influences, it made that movie better. The sequel, however, it doesn't seem to have any of those influences on it at all, nor should it, because Edgar Wright shouldn't have all his work that he was going to put into these movies, you know, used for the continuing of a popular character to not get anything from it, is what I'm saying. Like, Edgar Wright doesn't get anything for his influences, so they had to make this story on their own, and they can tell that maybe Peyton Reed didn't really have much going for him, you know, as far as ideas for this movie franchise. As far as the acting goes, though, I mean, like, Paul Rudd's great. You know, Evangeline Lilly's fine. Michael Douglas is great as always. Michelle Pfeiffer, you know, like, she just doesn't really get anything to do in this except be the thing that they need. I gotta say, the de-aging stuff, though, some of it works, some of it doesn't. Like, Michael Douglas looked pretty good in the first movie, but it's because it wasn't there very long. In this, there's like a lot of scenes with him de-aged. And he really looks like, when you're putting him next to a real person, or like a person who hasn't had a digitized face, it's really noticeable in this. Michelle Pfeiffer, though, the way they did her, man, it was solid throughout. Like, Michael Douglas looked like how Kevin Spacey looks in that, like, Call of Duty game that he was in. A little better than that, but like kind of the same thing. Kind of that uncanny valley thing happening a little bit there. Lawrence Fishburne, again, he's a great actor, and this is an interesting character. He is from the comics, but they don't give him much to do except he's the guy helping the villain, who's not the villain. I mean, when the coolest thing I see in your movie is that the villain's dad is the guy who played August, the one of the bald observers from Fringe. When I realized that was the coolest thing I pulled out of this movie. If that's the coolest thing you pull out of a Marvel movie, that like little weird nerdy reference, something's wrong. Something's wrong. And it's just like, for the same reasons that like I thought this movie was kind of boring. And it's the same kind of boring that I felt when I was watching Black Panther at times, where I was just like, I really don't care what's happening here. Like, and to a different extent, it's happening here too. And I'm like, this is a movie I can have on in the background while I'm like doing like chores and stuff, and like vacuuming or just rearranging things. You don't want to say that about your movie. And again, like, I really wanted to like this movie more. It's unfortunate again that I watched it right after Infinity War. And while I still think it's fine, I don't hate this movie. This would probably be like in the bottom 5 of my MCU. And I hate saying that because I still like all the tech and the quantum realm and all this cool shit that goes on in the Ant-Man movies. Like, talking about all this stuff just feels like we're setting up other things. And now that we know, like, pretty much that in Endgame, they're all going in the quantum realm because they're wearing the same suits that they were wearing in this movie. So it's not a leap to say that, or like even a spoiler to say that, unless you haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp. So then you go, oh, what are those suits for? Well, you know, like, and yeah, some of the cool stuff when they're doing the shrinking and the action stuff, it's all real fun. It really is. That's the thing that you just keep waiting for more of that, and there's just not enough of it. But when they do it, it's great. But also, I mean, it almost feels like this is taking place in a different universe, because the tone in these is so, you know, this is the most family friendly of any of the MCU movies. Really, it is. I mean, Avengers is pretty family friendly. But Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp, man, are like basically, your kids, it's on their level. Same as like Avengers. It's just like that big, the set of keys you jiggle in front of their faces. This is the nice thing that you put on in the afternoon for the kids to watch. You put on Ant-Man and Ant-Man 2, you got about 4 hours, 5 hours of your life to go do something, and you won't have to worry about your kids like, having like pick up bad habits or anything like that, unless they ask to become like burglars or they want you to turn your house into like a slide and stuff like that. You might get some of that, but anyway, and that's all. I mean, if this is what I'm talking about for the review, if I'm talking about that kind of stuff, then you know that this movie doesn't really leave that much of an impact, and it's unfortunate because Ant-Man and the Wasp should have been amazing. They just kind of took the same formula and then gave us a few extra things that are going to pay off later in other movies. So what do you call that? We call that filler. And so, unfortunately, Ant-Man and the Wasp, because it's the filler treatment here with, a good budget. Again, this movie looked good too. And I bet you it didn't even have the same budget as Black Panther. I don't know. I'd have to look on that. But anyway, that's it. That's Ant-Man and the Wasp. It feels like we're kind of having an anticlimactic end, and that's why I'm going to go see Captain Marvel for like the 4th time today. Get one final recap of it because I did already review it. And yeah, so we'll do that, and then I'll give a Captain Marvel. We'll be closing it out for the MCU reviews. And then we'll have Endgame on Friday. So, boom. We've got a lot of stuff still coming, though. We've got a Monday live stream we're going to try to do around 6 o'clock off my PS4 Pro. Anybody wants to join in, talk about whatever you want to talk about as far as like comics, TV shows, movies, any of that stuff. We'll be doing that we'll see how it goes. Otherwise, we're doing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're going to go back to doing our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. grind a little bit. We've got other shows that if they're good enough to review, I will be talking about them, and I'm talking about Happy and What We Do in the Shadows. If they're good enough to review this week, I will be reviewing them. Otherwise, we're going to just kind of have we're going to wing it like I did last vacation. And except this time I don't have to watch The Man in the High Castle Season 3 and wonder, why did I waste my vacation watching Man in the High Castle Season 3? And if you do want to know why I said that, watch my video on my the final word on Man in the High Castle Season 3. And we're talking about Man in the High Castle Season 3 and an Ant-Man and the Wasp review. That is how uninteresting Ant-Man and the Wasp was. So this is Robin Smirking Gun Reviews saying if you like this video, please hit the like, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers so we can have some better content on here. And some more live streams if you want. Also, again, reminder, we are still doing the Game of Thrones Oreo contest. Nobody died in episode 2, so the whole who's going to be on top at the end contest is still going into week 3. This shouldn't be happening. Somebody should have died by now. So you still get another chance to put in who do you think is going to be on the top spot in any of the Game of Thrones videos that I have. And also you can still put in what's your favorite best moment of Game of Thrones to win the other package as well. That'll keep going throughout season 6. And see, look at this. This is how uninteresting Ant-Man and the Wasp is. I am promoting other videos at the end of it in contests. This is Robin Smirking Gun Reviews saying we'll be back later with some more stuff. Otherwise, have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.